Good morning. This is Jack from This is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the pre-market webinar for the morning of Tuesday, the 29th of October. My disclaimer: I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. I'm not here to issue trading signals. Right? Okay, we're still getting some weakness here on ES. We're under the weekly pivot at the moment, which is at 58.54, and I'm thinking that we may well have a bit more downside while we are forming what looks an awful lot like an overall bull flag. NQ, we've got a potential double top here. We had a bull flag here. It broke up. We retested the high. We've got a potential double top. Watching to see. I'm not really this play out, but if we can get back down to the support which I've got in the 20,100 area, then I might think again about that. All right, looking at RTY. RTY, this looks like a bear flag forming. This actually broke up over the daily middle band yesterday, and if on a break up over the daily middle band, the obvious time to reject, if you're going to, is actually the following day. So I'm watching to see if it does that today. We've got a weak 60-minute sell signal fixed, and we're back testing the weekly pivot at the moment. We don't have an obvious bottoming pattern here. I could draw in an inverted head and shoulders, and it would be in vaguely okay territory, but it's not good. So I haven't drawn it in. YM still been fairly weak. This has been the weakest. It's the only one that's still under the daily middle band, and looks like it's heading back into a retest to low. We're still on a 60-minute buy signal, which hasn't really done anything so far. DAX looks like it's rejecting back up into the high. We had a double top here. It broke down. Now, we don't get an invalidation level on a double top like we do on the head and shoulders, but at the moment, this is getting pretty close to a retest to the high, and that is the obvious next target. ESTX, just drifting sideways, currently above the monthly pivot and the weekly pivot. Not really. Overall, this looks like a bull flag forming. Within that, not really seeing an awful lot. All right, let's have a look at these on the bigger picture charts. Looking at SPX first. And SPY, there is an obvious case for coming back here and testing this rising support. That could well be as part of a bull flag forming, and my favorite bull flag here is on SPX, where it would be this trend line here. Now, yesterday this was actually crossing. These two lines were crossing. This is now slightly below the rising support. I've got the rising support currently in about the 57.70 area, and I've got this possible flag support in about the 57.60 area. I am thinking it's got a decent chance of making one or the other. We do still have, we don't have anything on the 60-minute, but we do still have an open weak RSI 5 sell signal, and actually that's a full sell signal, because after that formed, we then had this one form, and that's a full sell signal, and that is fixed. So this is a full sell signal that's not reached the possible near miss target yet. There's still a decent chance it's going to do that, but at the moment we are holding, and we've tested 2 days out of the last 4 the daily middle band at 57.93. That's holding so far. For us to get, we don't need to break that on a daily close basis to reach this trend line here, but to get significantly below it, we would need to. ESTX, we've already made the possible near miss target there. So it's SPY and SPX where we've got full sell signals fixed, and they haven't made target yet. Looking at the Qs, nice looking double top here, and I'm thinking there's a lot of talk here about a larger retracement, and one of the biggest things supporting that is the fact that the VIX is still at 18. So there's an expectation of future turbulence. Now, that might just be the election happening, but I'm watching for a potential larger topping setup here, and we could have one if we go a little higher here. On the Qs, ideally, we would test this 502.81 all-time high and set up a double top there. And I've got also on IWM, we've got an obvious target up here, well, at a retest of 227.85, which set up a nice looking double top, and potentially at a retest of this high here at 234.66, which wouldn't be far away. I'm wondering whether we're going to see those two, one or both of those two targets made before the next move, and certainly this looks like unfinished business here at 227.85. And on NQ, sorry, on the Qs, this looks like unfinished business here at 502.81. So we might get a decent topping setup if we go back and get those targets. But at the moment, I'm leaning towards bull flags in the short term, and then we get up there and we see what happens. Now, there's going to be a lot of turbulence. We've got a couple of wars going on. We've got the presidential election coming up, and it's too close to call at the moment. We will see how that goes. All right, looking at Dow. Dow has been the weakest. Is pretty close to this rising support. In fact, a retest of this low here at 420.49 would almost get us there, or might get us there, depending on what it is here. No current divergence. On the hourly chart, we've now got an RSI 14 buy signal fixed, which is a decent looking signal, but I'm thinking we may well see a retest of this low soon anyway. And on the daily chart, if we were to see a retest that low, we could get an RSI 5 buy signal brewing. So watching that with interest. At the moment, this is the one that's been holding underneath the daily middle band, so it is the weakest of the indices, which makes sense as it was leading really for a few weeks since the Q stopped leading. And so the pullback here has been sharper. All right, let's have a look at the others. So let's have a look at DAX, which is still just kicking around, really holding the daily middle band as support, and might be heading back up into a retest of this high. Nikkei is back testing the daily middle band of support. No really obvious pattern forming here. This could be seen as an IHS, but it's a really ugly pattern. It's not really an IHS. It's not really anything. So keeping an open mind, we'll see how it goes. All right, let's have a look at the DX chart. Now, I just wanted to have a talk about this because we're getting very close to the target that I was talking about, but I'll show you that on the daily chart. Short term, this looks like topping action, but I'm leaning towards seeing just a little bit higher. Now, I've got a trend line resistance there, and it could break, but we will see. ZB is continuing to test the lows. I've got nothing compelling saying this is about to turn back up. All right, let's have a look at these on the bigger picture charts. Now, looking at US dollar. US dollar, I was saying when we made this trend line here that we would, if we had a very decent looking trend line here, and if we were to get back into the trend line resistance here, the obvious trend line would be this one here. Now that I've got trend line resistance here in about the 104.7 area. And we're really close to it. 104.65 to 107. We'll see how that goes. But I'm leaning towards it making that target, and obviously we have a potential for reversal there. In terms of divergence, we've got a possible RSI 14 sell signal brewing at the moment. We've got an RSI 5 sell signal fixed. On Euro, we've got buy signals and on RSI 5 and RSI 14. On GBP USD, we've got an RSI 5 buy signal, which is now actually fixed. You can see what I'm saying here. We've got a lot of divergence suggesting the dollar might be about to turn, so I'm thinking it might hit that trend line, and then it may well turn. We will see. All right, looking at CL. CL, seeing a bit of a rally here. I am wondering about this as a possible falling wedge, and we may find support here and go up. On NG. NG, little double bottom here. We've got a possible 60-minute buy signal brewing now. So very sharp decline after the roll into the November contracts, and looks like a little rally. Might get us back up into about the 2.93 area. We will see how it goes. All right, looking at GC. GC got a rally back into the retest of this high, I think, and may well continue from there. SI, we're very close to failing this head and shoulder pattern that broke down. If we see 3450 hit, then I'll have a target down up here in about the 3510 area. So we will see how that goes. Looking at HG, nice looking double bottom setup here, but I'd be happier with it if we saw a retest of this low here down in the 4.3 area. We'll see whether we get that. All right, looking elsewhere. Euro may well be bottoming out here. As I said, we've got a lot of negative divergence on DX. We've got a lot of positive divergence on the Euro, negative divergence on USD/JPY. We've got a lot of things suggesting that the dollar might be about to turn. That will have big implications, particularly on metals, which could really start going to the upside. GBP/USD, nice looking little inverted head and shoulders, which is trying to break up, but not really achieving a great deal so far. USD JPY, I've got negative divergence on both RSI 14 and RSI 5 now. USD CAD, no obvious setup. We've gone through bottoming setups on Australian dollar, and actually we've gone through the positive divergence on the daily chart too. NZUSD, again, just continuing down very gently. KC, trying to break up over this declining resistance. Not having a bit of a pullback so far, but may well follow through to the upside, in which case we could be starting a move heading back into this retest of this high at 275. Sugar, still forming a bull flag. Cocoa, really nice inverted head and shoulders that's broken up here. That's got a target up in about the 69, 85 to 90 area, and might be setting up a retest of this high here in about the 73.40 area. On cotton, retest of this low. Is this a double bottom? Looks a bit large for it, but we might be making a short-term low here anyway. On wheat, this has been continuing down. I am wondering whether we're going to see a bit more weakness on grains. We've seen a little more here. No current positive divergence. And on soy, I'm thinking this looks an awful lot like a bear flag. It's a perfect bear flag channel, and if we see a breakdown, we should see a retest of this low here, and that could be the second low of double bottom. We've got a weak 60-minute buy signal fixed. On lumber, lumber has broken up from the flag, and I've got a target at a retest of the high here in about the 561.5 area. On live cattle, this is trickling upwards. I've got a possible weak 60-minute sell signal brewing, but that's been the case for days. Lean hogs is continuing higher, having gone through this topping setup, and I think live cattle is likely following. Okay, let's have a look at questions. I'm going to go through ES again because we've had a couple of people arrive from the beginning. There's still a case for going lower. We're still testing the daily middle, the weekly pivot here. We're holding the daily middle band of support on everything currently except Dow. RTY, well, IWM broke up over the daily middle band yesterday. This is looking like it might be a bit of rejection. Waiting to see if this holds the weekly pivot here, but if we are going to reject after a breakup over the daily middle band, it would generally be the day after. One thing I was talking about on the bigger picture charts, just to cover it very quickly, is I was talking about the possibility that what we're seeing here is a bull flag forming before we see retests of these highs and possible larger topping patterns. Now, the VIX is at 18. There is the potential that we're going to see a sizable move soon. And if we do see a sizable move to the upside, I'm waiting to see whether we're going to see a retest of the highs on the Qs and on IWM particularly, and these could set up large topping patterns that could potentially deliver something. But at the moment, we don't really have the setup. We've got unfinished business above, and I'm thinking that after we see the next short-term low, we will likely see high retests across the board. So we shall see. All right, well, my pleasure as always, guys. And I'll have everything posted as soon as possible. And I'll catch you guys later.